is there some value that is detracted more than it is gained by utilizing these plants in the context in which they're illegal?
I think something's gained, because I recently was writing about how in old ways in all over the world, we used to think of the world as having a lower world, a middle world, and the upper world, or there would be two worlds at least. But there was always a place for things that you don't talk about. When you're talking about poetry, shamanic healing, art, sex, there's arenas of that. So I think something's lost when it's all up on the surface. Like just even looking at like decrim towns and everything, people going like, yeah, I'm going to go to Denver and get some psychedelic therapy and all that. And it's great. I'm really, really glad. But it doesn't take away from these underground circles. Like there's nothing lost by other people doing it a different way. But it's made me really question that maybe there's more reasons than we know of as to why these things have been underground throughout many cultures. Like maybe they're so sacred that they're not just illegal, but they're held in a place of secrecy for other reasons that aren't just about power and colonization. Maybe. Now that's a lifetime question. Mm-hmm. I mean, clearly in Mexico, like I was trying to read about San Pedro, and the only accounts I could find were from a particular tribe in Mexico, and they did them at night, and they were Catholic. And it's like, oh, because they were going to be killed if they were found to do this plant. Mm-hmm. So it would take a lot of, that's why I think seeing it psychedelically to answer those questions, or artistically, or with an open-minded anthropological viewpoint, to go like, are some things secret for other reasons other than they're considered dangerous, or the dominant culture wants to kill you for doing that?
Mm-hmm. Right, like something along the lines of these things are not for everybody, and the fact that they're secret actually fuels that sort of relational context that deepens the sacredness. Mm-hmm. It makes me think about Oliver Quintanilla, who did the documentary Little Saints, and it was following
I watched that.
A mushroom curandera, and I asked him about the heavy Christian iconography, and he had suggested that perhaps that was just the way that the indigenous people of Mexico learned to hide their spiritual traditions, because they just put all their old deities, in Christian garb, and enough time has gone by that's what it is now. And it makes me think as well about, this is sort of slightly different, but I want to make the metaphor about the story about the young girl asking her mom. I mean, there's so much gender role in what I'm about to say, gender box type stuff. The young girl asking her mom, like, why do you cut the head off the lamb before you put it in the oven? And she goes, oh, well, it's just how I learned to do it from my mom. And so she goes to her grandmother, and her grandmother says the same. And then she goes to her great grandmother, and her great grandmother says, oh, the stoves were so small, you had to cut the head off to fit it in.
Yeah, I think sometimes it really, there's like hilarious, weird reasons for things that are so old and sacred that probably have to do with their oven being small.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then some other stuff that we don't know. There's a whole lot of unknown unknowns in all of this.
Yeah.
And I like your sort of like you leaning into this, like, hey, maybe there's a reason they're illegal, and maybe it